Okay, so well, Mother's Day, of course, is Sunday, and I always think about flowers for Mother's Day, right? And I really never really liked getting real flowers. I don't know why. I think because I hate to see them wrinkle, wither away and die, I guess. But that's the nature of it. It's okay. So I wanted to show you this one. For the month of May, we are doing flowers. And this is our first one. This one's actually as easy as the easiest thing I've ever made as far as origami is concerned. And I'm hoping it's easy for you. What you need, so I made a bunch here and I'm just going to keep adding to it. And these are really neat because you can just put them in a vase. And there's no watering ever needed. And they'll just maybe need some dust if you have dust that you have to worry about. So what I did is I have a 3-inch paper, and I got it from this pack. So I'm going to just show you this. This is has 100 colors, so you have 100 colors to choose from. This paper is really good for making these. It's just solid all the way through, and it's really good. So this is pure. This is a 3-inch paper, and then I have the 6-inch paper. That's what I got this. I basically cut a 6-inch paper into 2-inch by 6-inch strips. And I'm going to be able to make 2 flowers out of this. I'm going to have to decide which colors I want to use today. But I'm going to do it twice just so you can see, because it is very quick. And I do want you to be able to make as many as you can make. We also need a pair of scissors, any kind. I like a bamboo skewer, something really thin. If you don't have a bamboo skewer, like maybe a knitting needle, or trying to think of something thin, the thinner the better, because then your stems will be thinner. So I'll show you how we do that, and then a little glue, and that's all. This is all you need for this. It's such an easy project, but it's just so much fun. Okay, so I'm going to start out with folding the flower, and I'm going to do this with the blue one, hoping that you can see it really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in a basically point to point, like a triangle. It's been a few days since I folded this, so I'm hoping I'll remember. And you open it up. This is the 3-inch, but if you want to have a larger flower, by all means, a 6-inch square or a 4-inch, any size. I'm just doing the 3-inch, but you can use any size. 6-inch would be fine. It would just be a nice big flower. It might be fun to make them in different sizes. So I'm unfolding it, and I'm going to fold it in the opposite direction. So now I have this. I have these 2 valley folds here. Now I'm turning it over, and if you had white paper with white sides, your white would be now on the bottom. This would be the colored side, I think. No, I'm sorry. This would be the white side. So to be sure of this, you wanted to start with your color side down or patterned side down. I didn't tell you that, but start these diagonal folds with your pattern or colored side down. This is solid, so that's why you won't see that. But now with the color side up, I think, did I mention, or color side down? Anyway, I'm going to get confused myself. Now you're going to fold basically in half this way. Yeah, the color side should actually, I'm sorry, be down. Oh, well, you'll see what I mean. It's basically, we're going to fold it in half in both directions. Boy, I don't want to confuse you beforehand. Okay, so what you should have is if your color side is up right now, your mountains should be the horizontal and vertical fold, and your valleys should be the diagonal fold. So if you don't have that, go ahead and get that so that it's that way. That would mean, so this would be the color side right here. So that would mean when we started, when the white side should be up when we are doing these folds, okay? And then the colored side should be up when we're doing these folds. I hope that makes sense. So now what we do is we're just going to collapse this just like we do lots of the folds are like this. We collapse it into a little square with kind of flaps on either side. This is a basic fold or a basic base. I think it's called the crane base. So there it is right here. That's what we want to have right now. The next thing is you'll see there's an open end and a closed end. So I have the open end over here and I have the closed end right up here. What we're going to do is we're going to take the one flap and I'm just going to fold it in. I'm going to do it the other way. It's been a few days. So I want my closed end, to be facing my left, and I want my open end to be on my right side, just to make this right. And then I want the pattern, your pattern should be showing, or your color should be showing. The white should be on the inside. Okay, so this is the open end, the closed end. So now I'm taking my tip, and I'm just going to fold it at an angle, kind of down a little bit. It kind of doesn't matter what angle, it's all your choice, but I'm doing an angle that looks kind of like this. I'm going to show you so you can see how it looks underneath the yellow, so you can see it. So I've got my little angle folded here, and then I'm going to take this, the one on the opposite side, and fold it exactly to meet the other one, so that it just basically you're folding at the same angle and the same distance, kind of meeting at that crease there. So now I have this nice kind of, you can see the flower shape already is right here. So I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And now I have a guide. I have something I can use as my guide. I'm just going to match what's underneath. Just folding that crease to match what's already there underneath. And I'm going to do the same thing on the left side. This model is designed by Kunihiko Kusahara. He's a very famous origami artist in Japan. Okay, so there we have this. Okay, this is how it should look. You can see the little guy on my hand, but here it is. You could see with the yellow, I think, in the background. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and we're going to just fold the left side over so you see solid. Okay, so flip the whole thing over and fold the left flap over until it's solid. So what you have now is this little tulip shape, or this little flower shape, but it's solid and flat on both sides. So the next step is to take these little, this closed end, not this end, but this end, that's sort of the wider, this wider area here, this wide base. I'm going to fold this just a little bit up, just at a little bit of an angle, and I'm going to show you how far. I'll take this yellow, not very far, but it's just a little bit of an angle. Basically, it's kind of even. It's this, and this. These should be even. So when you're folding it, just kind of fold it as far as so where it looks like almost like a kite. You can see on that side how it looks. All right, so fold the same thing, do the same thing on the other side, just kind of fold it into like a kite. And this one, you really want to get that crease really down there, really nice and firm. Okay, so now I have those. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. But now that I have my other side, it's a guide, so I can just fold it to match. And just give it, really make sure, if you don't have a bone, I don't have my bone folder right here, but I should. I just want these to be really creased really well, because really we're finished with our folding part. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my scissors, and on this closed end, I'm going to trim just a little bit. I'm not going to take off much. You'll see it's probably about 1/8 of an inch. I'm cutting off the end. So I just cut a little bit off. And now I'm going to open it up very carefully. I'm going to just take my petals, and I'm going to just form the flower. So I'm going to take it, and if I just open it up kind of gently without unfolding these little things underneath, and you could put your finger in, or a bone folder or something inside, and kind of just push out the fold, or those creases, push them outward until it just kind of opens up, and you'll feel it like becoming a container. It opens right up. Everything just opens right up. See, it's on my finger. And I'm just going to keep pushing it with my finger until I got it as far as I can, without, of course, unfolding these. Now my flower is really done. So you can see now what I like to do is I like to curl the petals just by taking my skewer. The skewer is handy for many things. I'm going to take my skewer and just curl those little tips a little bit. And that skewer works so good. And then later I can use this to make shrimp later, but I love these skewers for this kind of stuff. Okay, so now I've got the little shape of the flower. It looks it's just so pretty. And then this here is open for me to insert my stem. So that's why it's there. So that we'll just set that aside. We could make a couple of flowers. So let's do that. I'm going to set this aside and we're going to fold another flower so that you can maybe see it better with the yellow, or if I pick the orange. I think I'll pick orange. It might be a little more pleasant to watch. So let's go over this again, and this time I'll do it right. I think have your let's try this. Have your white side up. Let's just start with white side up, or pattern, basically white plain side up, and fold it in half. We're going to do it a little differently. Fold it in half, just from just fold it in half in both directions, basically. Okay, so that your white side should be up. Now turn it over, and your color side or your pattern side will be up now. Now I'm going to fold it diagonally in both directions, point to point. Okay, now I open it up, and this is just how you've done the crane. I'm going to push that point to just pop up, so I have these mountains, and these are valleys. The diagonal folds are mountains, or these folds, the cross folds or the X folds are mountains, and then these are valleys. So now all we need to do now is just collapse it into a base here, a square, little square base. And now what I'm going to do is just take that little corner, and I can fold it at an angle. And really, I just want to have a little space here, so it doesn't matter. And each flower will be slightly different, and that's what makes them fun, because flowers are never two alike. So that's the fun part. So I'm folding those two. I folded them at an angle to the center, so there's just a little. You could see that angle. There it is. And now I'm going to turn it over and just duplicate what I did on this side. Okay, so now that we've done that, just going to see, now we have that. So now, if you remember, you just take the little flaps, and we want to make that solid on both sides. And I just noticed I folded mine too far, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit. It kind of went over that crease, and you don't really want that to go over a crease, because then it's going to be hard to form into the flower. So you want them to just meet but not go over. So now I'm going to just take my page, my first flap, and I'm going to turn it so that it's a solid piece. I'm turning it over, and I'm going to take the flap and turn it so that it's a solid side on both sides, and two flaps on either side. And now I'm going to take this little remember the solid side, and I'm going to make that little fold at an angle, kind of like that kite shape on both sides. It's a very small fold. There it is. And if you had a paper that was not very friendly, it was just being kind of a pain in the butt, sometimes you can just take a little glue. If you want to take a little glue and put it right underneath these flaps, that would be helpful. Mine holds together fine, but I think different papers are going to behave differently. So I'm just going to fold these little points to match the other side. So I've got my little angled points, and this really give it a good crease, nice and crisp crease. Okay, so now you should have this. It should have an open end, closed end here, and I'm going to trim it, maybe just that 1/8 of an inch off the bottom. So I have this little bottom, and now I'm going to open it up, and I'm just going to gently. I don't want to unfold these down here. If they do keep wanting to unfold, little bit spot of glue is fine right there. If you have a little tiny, like I have this little itty bitty glue dispenser, and I can just go right in underneath here, that would be, you can do that. But I don't think mine needs it. Sometimes they do. So now what you can do is just take your fingers and gently open up your flower and get just enough to get your finger inside, and then take your finger and push outward, push all those folds outward, holding if you hold that base, the one that you cut, kind of keep that kind of, just kind of hold that so it doesn't unfold. And then you've got your shape of your flower. And then take your skewer or whatever you've got that will give you that nice little curved edge. I think a pen just would be too fat. It wouldn't really do the job. Even a piece of wire might work, if you had a piece of wire or just something thin. All right, so we've got 2 flowers now. So let's make the stems. Okay, so to make the stem, you need a 2-inch by 6-inch piece of paper, or if you want it longer, you just have a longer piece of paper. So this stem gives just about this length of a stem, but if you want it to be longer, you can make them longer. Just have a little more paper. So what I'm going to do is use my skewer, taking my skewer, and I'm going to pick it up at an angle. You can see this angle. I've got it sort of and it really probably doesn't matter what, don't be worried about the angle so much. This takes a little practice, so don't be discouraged if it doesn't happen right away. But what I notice is you really need to get that corner started, and I just kind of work that paper a little bit so that because I want this to wrap really tight around my skewer. So I'm just going to take that corner, and I'm just taking my fingers, and I'm just not going to give it any room between the paper and the skewer. I want it to be super tight. I'm just going to wrap it, and you can always unwrap it if it's not tight enough. Unwrap it and rewrap it just to get it nice and tight. You'll know when it's right, and when it's not right, it's sort of loose everywhere, and you don't want that. We've got someone. Oh, Pat. There we go. We lost her. Now she's back. Okay. All right. Hi, Pat. You're back. Nice to have you back. Okay, so I'm just wrapping and I'm just going to keep going until I roll the whole thing. And like I said, I'm noticing mine is getting kind of loose on this side. I'm not going to worry about it yet, but if it does, you can just unroll, start over until you just get that feeling of the very tightly wrapped, as tightly as you can. So if I hold both of my fingers and just keep that on there really tight, you'll have a better luck at this. So I'm just going to roll it until I'm out of paper. And then what I'm going to do is glue. So I'm kind of you can see I'm rolling nice and tight. And then when I get to the end, about right to here, I'm going to add a little glue. And oops, my glue doesn't want to come out. Oh, it's stuck. There it goes. Okay. So now I'm just going to put some white glue. Of course, it's starting to unravel because I let go, but just kind of make sure, hold that nice and tight, and then stick some glue on the end. And then what I'm just going to do is I'm going to keep rolling until, and I've got the glue kind of on there. It's okay because the glue is going to kind of seal it up. I'm just going to wait until it holds, and it holds pretty quickly. So there, I got that. Now that is done. That part. Now at this point, if I could keep, there we are. So it's done. So now I'm going to slide it off. And I've got a little stem. And if I want to trim it, but we won't trim it yet. Now I'm going to stick my flower through it. So I'm going to stick the narrow, because these stems tend to be more narrow on one side. It's normal, not to worry. That's what happens. Put the narrow end to the flower. And just draw it up, and then what I do is it kind of holds itself because it's pretty firm, but I'm going to put a little glue anyway, just on this, just so that it right on the end. And you could use a glue gun if you want to go faster. Glue guns are handy, but I didn't feel like heating up a glue gun. It's kind of hot outside. So I'm just going to draw it all the way down as far as until that glue touches the end. There, I got it. You can put more glue or less glue, whatever you want. I'm going to do this other one. I'm going to glue the other one. It's really good to let that glue set a little bit before we put the leaves on. So I'm just going to set that down, and I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to take, for the second one, take our paper at an angle and just go ahead and wrap it really tight. If you don't have if you just want, you can even use a skewer for the stem. if you wanted to use skewers, but I like this, that these are just all paper. There's nothing added. And this kind of makes it a little more, I don't know if it's biodegradable maybe, or just a little bit more environmentally friendly. In fact, if I wanted to leave these in a park somewhere or I could leave these somewhere, and it's just paper, so it's not going to be, if you want to give them away and just leave them, it's not going to cause, it won't be leaving trash anywhere. Well, it will, but it will dissolve over time. So mine's still, it's not wrapping tight, so I'm just going to go back until it does. And just roll that thing. Sometimes just changing the position or the orientation of your skewer would help. Like this seems to be working better. And sometimes you'll get a little longer, depending on how much of an angle, how severe of an angle you have. You'll get a slightly longer stem. And it just depends on what you want. So a little glue goes inside, and then just tightly wind it and so that it sets. And then you can wipe off the glue. I don't have my handy wipes. Oh, it's all right. To just get it off, get the excess glue off. And it dries clear anyway, so it's not a big deal. So now I'm just going to take that off the skewer. And the same thing, I'm just going to take it and put it through my flower. And I think I'm going to put more glue on the end this time, a little bit more. I don't think I put enough on the blue one. There, just be generous, because it's just going to soak right into the base of the flower. And I think a glue gun would be a lot easier. It would just happen really fast. So I'm just going to bring it all the way through. And I made a nice small cut so that it's going to hold pretty well. If you have too big of a cut, the flower doesn't hold very well. It doesn't sit on the stem very well. So now I'm just going to set that down, and now I'm going to show you how to make the leaves. This is super easy. What you're going to do, I'll just set these away a little bit out of the way until they set. Now I'm going to do 2 leaves on this. This is a 2-inch strip, just like I have on the stems. I'm folding the stem, folding it in half. Now, if you want to use a pencil, you're welcome to make your leaf shape. So you would just kind of, I won't be using a pencil, but I'll just show you if you wanted to kind of, you can get 3 leaves out of this easily if you want. I'm just going to do, you just create this shape of a leaf, kind of like looks like a little football. I don't know if you see that, but actually I'll do it in darker color for you just so you can see. You can do a shape like this, and I'm not going to use this one, but basically that would be your shape like that. Okay, or wider, however, it's up to you. I just like to do a free form because free form gives me, just much more kind of natural. So I'm just going to put my scissors in, and I'm going to make a leaf shape. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do another one right here next to this one. There it is. Oops, that one has the green on it. Or this has that one in it. See, I have a little part, which I could doodle on that, I guess. But this, what I'm going to do with that, I think, is I'm going to cover that up by just gluing. So now I have 2 leaves, okay? And I'm going to take this first one. I'm just going to put the leaf right about wherever you want. You can place it wherever you want. I'm going to kind of place it sort of close-ish to the top, but not too close. Now I'm going to just put a little glue on the end here like this, and I'm just going to put it on my tulip or my flower, and I'm just going to wrap it. And when I wrap it, I'm just bending the leaf kind of at the same time. And I'm just going to wrap it, and I've got probably too much glue, and it's going to stick to my fingers, probably. While it's wet, you'll want to just kind of form it, or however you want to work this. If you want to just kind of have it like this. This one, I like that, the way that looks. So now that I've kind of moved it to where I want it, I'm just going to hold it for a few seconds and maybe just kind of close this up here on this part so that it kind of just covers up that little seam. And then I can get rid of any excess glue, of course. And that stuff will all peel off after it dries, but that's that one. And so it's all paper, so that's going to be fun. And then if you want to put a little gift tag or a little string with a little message on it, I think it would be such a fun way to spread some cheer. Okay, so that's that one, and I will just peel those. There's some glue residue on that, so I'll try to get rid of it before it dries. Yeah, oh well, I'm not going to worry about it. It is what it is. So I'm just going to put that over here, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this one. So I'm going to decide which part of the leaf I want to do. And I'm just going to put a little glue. This time I won't put so much. I'll be a little more conservative on the glue. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm putting it on the side of my stem. I'm just going to wrap it. And at the same time, I want this to fold down. So you can just take your leaf and just form it. And this one is being stubborn. There we are. Here. And I'm just forming it so that there we are. There. The paper should just go where you want it to go. Now I got to straighten that little flower out. And then just hold it until it sets, until the glue sets. Now we've got 2 beautiful flowers. And of course, the more you make, the more you can make a beautiful bouquet. I'm just gonna, this one I didn't put enough glue, so it probably is a good idea to make sure you have enough. I mean, there's sort of I'll just stick a little bit right in here, and then that should be good. Now we have these really cool tulips, and I'd love to see what you've done. Oh, got to show you. So I think it's going to be fun to add a little color to this little bouquet. But I'll wait for these to dry a little bit. So let's see how everybody's doing. Here we are. So let's say this is a 3-inch. It's not, it's a 6-inch. But so this is the white side, and this is your colored side. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So we're going to start with the white side up, and then the colored side is down on the table, and you're going to fold it in half in this direction, or one direction. And you open it up and fold it in half in the other direction. Okay, so now what you have is you should be here with the 2 folds, mountain folds. So turn your paper over, and your white side should be facing up now. Oops, what was I saying? God, okay, let's rewind. What I was saying is that the paper is turned over already. So you have your mountains up, and your color side is up. Now the next fold is happening now. We're going to fold it in diagonally in both directions. This will make a fun one. It'll be really big, but it'll be real pretty. Okay, so now what you have is you have this going on. You'll want to take your finger and you just push that middle part up so that it pops up so that now it's a mountain. So basically, if you're putting it if you have it on your finger, you can it's a merry-go-round. So that's how it should look right now. Are you there, Leah, at that place? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, and now what you have is you're going to collapse all this into a square with 2 flaps on either side. Okay. So what you have is this open side, and you'll have a closed side. You want to take your first flap, this little layer, and you're going to fold it. Oops, I forgot to spotlight. I hope you can see that. I should spotlight that. You need to just fold this corner or this point right at an angle, and just fold that down at an angle, and do the same thing on the other side to have it meet the one you just folded, so it will look like this. And then turn it over and do the same thing on the other side, so that just basically the front and the back should be exactly the same. So now you have these.
Right.
Okay. Now you're going to open up your page and open it up till it's solid on both sides. So I'm just turning the page so that it's solid. I'm turning the whole thing over, turning the page that's on the left to the right, and now it's solid. Is that where you're at?
Uh-huh. I am.
Yay! And how's Deanna doing?
Okay, I'm right with
Cool.
you.
All right, good. All right, so it probably helps to do this. And anybody else is folding another flower. Now you take these little bottom corners and you can see this little, you want them to just basically be folded at an angle so that they kind of match the one that's, the distance should be the same here.
Okay.
And I'm going to fold the same on the other side, just a little angle that kind of narrows this up a little. And I'm turning it over and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So it's just matching what's on the other side. Okay, now we finished our folding. And what we need to do is open it up with our hand or fingers, and we're going to push all the folds outwards from the inside out. Kind of just blow it up with your finger. Get all those folds to come out so that you have this full, you can just manipulate it with your finger to get all those little parts out like that. And now you have a tulip. See how it's like a box, basically. Or it could be, I don't know if it's a tulip, could be other things. And then you just take your skewer and just fold the petals down, or in this case, a pin probably would work because it's bigger. Like anything that has like a narrow edge or even a brush, end of a brush, that's not going to work. This pin's a little big. So you just want to curl somehow curl your petals at the top. It gives them a little more of a natural look. Oops, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to cut it. So this is not easy to cut once you've right from here, it's not easy. You can do it, but it's better to cut it flat. So I'm not going to crush it down again. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to try to cut it on the end, but please do it when it's flat. So there, I can do it. It's possible. So now I have a hole at the bottom that I can stick a stem through, or whatever. If you have a skewers, also your stem that you rolled stem, which I think the paper stem is much cuter, and then you can put your leaves. So were you able to do it?